Yeah, I mean, the last time we had a long discussion about the Romans.
Mm-hmm.
This time would be different, right? Because it's for a different record.
A different record, yeah, different band. But it's okay. I'm open to anything.
Are you still doing the ex Dio?
Ex Deo is still happening. Yeah. I still do it. It's right now. Obviously, I released a record called the 13 Years of Nero. It was the last one 2 years ago, and now we are planning on writing some material around the end of the year, with plans to release maybe an EP at some point for that. But in between, because my record deal's over with Napalm, we completed our contract, and I don't know yet what I'm going to do with it. But we will release some more stuff. I mean, we haven't finished exploring the Roman stuff yet, So that will be in the plans for the future. But right now we're very committed and dedicated on this new Kataklysm record, which is having an incredible start at the moment for us. So we're very happy about it. So it's looking good.
Yes, I've only heard a couple of songs. The Die as a King, obviously, and the Bringer of Vengeance.
Yeah,
the one thing I'm curious to ask, with Ex Dio, it's very themed. So pretty much, I would imagine that's your area of source of inspiration and material. But with Kataklysm, because each record seems to be different from one another, not just for the cover, obviously, but the content as well. So how do you work out what to venture when making a new record?
So for example, Kataklysm, I mean, Ex Deo, for example, is a band that it's easy in a way, but hard in another. It's easy in the fact that the history is there. It's made, it happened, so it's very real. But then to take that and to turn it into art and to put music to it and to make it, good and cool and, in the metal world, it's another game, But the inspiration is easy because it's the story. It's already there. We make it as a narrative, and we make it very real. We transport the fan into that world. But to do that, to create that, is difficult. With Kataklysm, it's more, it's very social based. To me, it's very therapeutic band. I use it for my own questions of life and questions of things. It's specifically this record, Goliath, obviously is coming out of, the 2-3 years of craziness that we just went through. Although it seems like we're going through more craziness ahead of us, but those 2-3 years were very intense and heavy. This record was written on the last year of the pandemic, 22nd. And we it was the absorption of all this stuff. And it's why the record is very aggressive. It put a lot of things in perspective for me. I'm a guy that's very active in the sense of, I have 3 bands, I manage bands, I have a record label, an agency. I'm all over the place because I like to do stuff, work hard all the time. And that's just my character. But when this happened, it stopped everything, right? So basically you had time to analyze the world, analyze things around you, put things into perspective. I didn't like what I saw. I saw a world that really right away complied to everything. You weren't allowed to ask questions. You were forced into things. Although it was a real situation and it was very bad. At the same time, I think people abused of their power, and I felt that it wasn't a short-lived thing. It was very long, and to the point where the theme of Goliath came out a little bit because of that, and specifically because what happened thousands of years ago, throughout that story, you fast forward to now, and nothing's changed. We're still fighting a machine out there. We're still fighting things that want to silence you, force you to do things that you're maybe not ready to do, all kinds of things like that. It feels like the freedoms are more and more controlled, whether it's from whatever reason there is. I felt that this was a very big thematic, but for me, the album Goliath is not only surrounded around that, it's also, Goliath can be your inner demons, it can be your fears. Because to me, fear is the number one enemy. It's not a certain person. It's the fear of that person that's the enemy. So to me, it's like you live a much better life without having fear. A little bit of paranoia. When you're Italian, you're going to have a bit of paranoia. And I think this is important to stay safe in your brain. I grew up with it. So the paranoia, hey, mettiti il cappello, fai così fuori che fa freddo when you're a little kid, you understand a bit Italian. It means put your hat on, it's cold outside, like all this paranoia that something bad's going to happen, at least you're prepared, as Italian culture is very predominant for me, but in general, I know it's a long answer to your question, but it's more than just what happened in the last couple of years. It's also a mental state of what we are now, kind of being questioned in the whole thing about Goliath. It's fighting your inner demons as well.
It's also, at least from the Bible story, is that even if you're small and outnumbered in terms of might, because Goliath is bigger, and Daniel, am I correct?
Yeah, David.
David.
Yeah.
Being smaller still outperforms.
The crazy question about that is, for example, when he was asked by the people, right, they were like, "You're crazy. You can't beat Goliath. He's 10 times your size. He's a giant. You'll never beat him, And then his response was he's too hard to miss.
Yeah.
So his mentality was like, he's too big. He must fall, So there's a line in the song Goliath, the title track, where I say, no enemy is too big, So it's fear that stops you. It's fear that enables you,
It's amazing how these stories that are thousands of years old, they still resonate with people, and the situations we find ourselves in.
Right.
Because you mentioned, with the Roman world, and you fast forward to our world, nothing has changed. It could be that as humans, maybe is in our nature to be the way we are.
Yeah, and it's a circle. It's over and over and over and over and over. But at the same time, we have this type of evolution happening where we are looking more. Life is much better than we think. If you go back in those times, life was difficult for everybody. There was nobody that lived a normal life. Mm-hmm. We are living in a much better environment, and that's also because we are living in bubbles. Because if you come outside that bubble, you're going to see the same misery that the world has always had. I just came back from South America doing a tour with Kataklysm in Deicide, and I saw things over there in Brazil that were like, wow, I can't believe that, we are humans and this is happening. Kids in pajamas in the middle at 8 o'clock in the morning asking for money and food. Actually, they're asking for food. And it's so strange, because if you go to those countries, the poor people in these countries that are in the streets, right, are extremely sick looking or skinny, but our poor people are huge. They're obese. It's like almost that they have too much, And it's, I know it's in the foods or whatever, you can go really deep and all that stuff, but we don't have the same type of poverty, like the historic poverty is that. So that hasn't left. And the stories of back in the day that people were questioning and trying to figure out the philosophy of life, we're still trying to do that now. Only now I think we're going backwards, right? Because, now it's like 2 + 2 = 5, and you must believe that it's 5, it's 5. No, it's 4. No, it's 5 now. So
I can't even understand why even the question is posed, because trying to build a bridge with that logic, or trying to build
that mathematics
a hospital with that logic, see what happens.
Exactly, right? But what's happening, it also, I'm going to give an example. You saw about the submarine that fell, that went to the Titanic and imploded, right? With all the billionaires in it, The person that created that submarine decided that a 55-year-old white engineer is not the right, didn't want to support that. because he was a white 55-year-old engineer. So he used all these other people that are much younger to give them a chance and all this stuff, and they built the thing. And what happened? It blew up.
Usually,
Right? They used controllers. They use controllers that to control the ship that are bought at Best Buy here. It's a store that you buy it, and they paid $20 for this. $20. Okay. So this type of mentality is wrong because it's not about the age, not about the skin color. It's not about your creed.
It's actually racist. It's actually racist, this mentality.
It's absolutely
it's racist.
Absolutely. It's about your qualifications, right? It's about the best man for the job so that you can always try to improve yourself to be the best. And this is how society advances. When you had the Greek philosophers getting together, like 15 of them talking about your idea might be right, but I have another one and mine might be right. So let's debate, right?
Yes.
That's what brought society forward. It's not like now we are regressing, right? So it's like you see those type of things and then you start thinking, well, maybe it's done on purpose, because when you divide people and when you are separating everything by race, by ideas and all this stuff, by gender or whatever you want to do, then you're easily controllable, because you're gonna have divisions and you're gonna have divide and conquer, very old Roman way of doing things, right? Back in the day. Although they would do it with the military aspect, then they brought it into society, right? So different classes, different, So this is pretty much the overall kind of analysis of Goliath. It's kind of like there's a machine out there that is stronger, big, and is trying to control and put its will on the people. And we are fighting back by questioning it, by saying why, by not agreeing on things that makes no sense. It's in my opinion, this is kind of the open book of what Goliath is. It's really what it is. So it's very reflective of today's society. So Kataklysm is very based on social aspects versus Ex Deo. It's kind of like still doing it, but in a historic fashion.
It's very unusual that metal bands use biblical themes
Right.
as a way to analyze current event, because in my opinion, like biblical themes and is not just a superstition. It's the stories about people with real problems, with real life
Absolutely.
events.
Yeah, and it's funny to me because then you have all these bands that are super satanic and doing all this stuff, and I'm not a religious person. I am not a person that I think both sides are flawed. They have their issues. But if you give me a choice, I'm going to go with the choice of truth. I'm going to go with the choice of goodness, so that we can move forward as a society together. Like when everybody's metalheads are like, yeah, we're together, we're a family, but then you're preaching about Satan and killing people and blood and everything. Well, when it happens for real, like it's happening in life right now, are you happy? That's the question.
Yeah.
No. So it's not truthful, right? So that's my opinion. So, some people say, oh, what is he becoming biblical? It's not biblical. It's the idea of it, right? The David versus Goliath thing is an idea. And it's the idea that you can fight back. You should not be afraid and to question the narrative, because if we don't do that, we will be oppressed. It's simple, So to me, that's more metal. To me, that's more metal to be the underdog that's fighting, to its survival. It's
absolutely. I mean, to me, it is a perfect description of a reality. 2 + 5 is not the description of a reality.
Yeah.
At all.
Exactly.
Because you cannot do anything with it.
Right.
But from the Goliath story, you can learn from it, and
absolutely
from in your own life. So 2 + 5 is an idiotic way of dividing people.
Yeah. but it works when people are comfortable and they don't realize that one day they will not be comfortable in anymore, because what you're doing on people and pushing, being a part of this movement, you're becoming part of the problem.
Yes.
And that one day, you will be faced with it. And then, because it keeps growing and it outgrows your way of thinking. And because if you're thinking like this, then the other people will think like this. and even you are going to be too big. You understand? Because at some point it's just one line. So I really think that we are not doomed or anything. I do believe that there is a big pushback around the world. People are waking up. I feel that there is a lot of good, positive energy, even if it sounds and it looks very dark everywhere. I still think that there is a good momentum as far as people waking up, knowing the truth. I talked to you about it, and we seem to agree on this, right? There is not one interview I've done in the last month for this record, and I've done many a day, that somebody opposed that view. So the majority is thinking this way. It's the fear of expressing yourself, of fear of consequences, that stops us from debating, and that's what they want, you know. So I use it anyways. I do it in a way where I'm using a theme. I'm putting it out there in a smart fashion. It's still very metal. You know, I could have called the record David versus Goliath, right? Mm-hmm. But then that's very biblical, right? So I said, no, I'm going to emphasize on the machine. It's called Goliath. It's more metal. It's a thing. But I am opposing that. You know, I am, you know, a big supporter of freedom, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of choice. If we lose those two things, we are doomed as a society. You know, me and you are not having this talk, you know, so freedom of speech is very important.
Two things which I want to point out that are buzzing around my head that I want to say. First, a mild thing. I was interviewing the singer from Possessed, and we talked about this stuff. He's very talkative, and he said that there's nothing more metal than the Bible. Because stories of, you know, end of the world, the dragons, angels, demons,
crucifixions.
If it wasn't for the Bible, there wouldn't be any metal. Because if you take the religious aspect in metal, what do you have left?
Do you find that he's becoming more like Christian like that?
In my opinion, he's always been Christian. It's just people don't realize it. Because
don't realize it, correct. So a lot of musicians, as they get older, right, change with this. You know, I've noticed, I know people, I mean, I know guys that are, you know, like, for example, even Glenn Benton from Deicide lives 1 hour away from my house. Like, I live in Florida, like we are an hour. We're very good friends. But even him, if you talk to him, he's a good guy. He's really good.
I did talk to him. I did interview him.
He is not going to be out there worshiping Jesus or anything like that. You know, he's not, he doesn't, you know, he has a background that you can understand why he was thrown into that world, you know, growing up or whatever. But he's a good guy. You know, there is no what people think. Like, you know, I don't want to destroy his image right now, but he's a good guy. But he's a tough guy. You know, he's really Glenn Benton.
No, I don't want to spend the interview talking about him, but
you get my point, right?
Yes.
So I find that with time, I feel like that this evolution where even the toughest of the metalheads, they kind of see a truth at some point about a positive message versus the one of complete destruction. You know what I mean? Especially if you have kids. I prefer to live my life happy and in serene moments, not to be tormented.
Of course,
you know, over and over. So you know, the path is clear for me about what's the right thing.
But some people I've noticed when I do interviews, especially the black metal side of things, they like to be tormented. They enjoy it. One guy, the drummer, I'm not gonna say, but he said that I like my depression. It's like,
okay.
He said I like being depressed.
Right.
For me, is unbelievable. Like it's like 2 + 5, 2 + 2 = 5. Is that I cannot
it doesn't make sense. Yeah, I mean, some people enjoy pain, right? So there is people that maybe are drawn by it and they love the darkness and they love to live like that, but they tend to be suicidal after a while.
Yes, but the problem is that it's not like it's not like we live in silo, even though, like you said, sometimes we do live in bubbles. That kind of attitude spreads.
Right.
Spreads, right? It's not just
oh yeah, absolutely. Like in metal, it's because of so many bands now are like, you know, I see the stupidest thing, like I'm vegan and I'm Satanist. It's like Okay, and then they have a rainbow Satan with a unicorn, and they're like, I'm Satanist and I am vegan, and it's like, sorry, it doesn't go together. Like it's I mean, it's you know then that it's like kind of a commercialized thing. It's not real about, I mean, we could go on with this for a long time, but it's, in my opinion, it's a facade, and it's fake. And I don't like it. That's why I don't talk about it. Like, I never been into that. I'm going to have very dark imagery, right? We're going to do stuff, the new video that's going to come out is really crazy. The new Kataklysm video is coming out in 2 weeks. And
What's the first song. What's it about?
It's called Dark Wings of Deception, and it's about facing your demons. But you got to face the demon. So there is a demon in the video, and it's really crazy video, but it's well done. And it's going to be the opposite of what you usually see when you see that in imagery. So we are doing something where, to me, we are fighting the evils of the world, and it's the same as going to see a movie about, like, I just watched a movie called Sound of Freedom. I went to see the movie, and I was blown away by the movie. It was incredible that this is happening in today's life. It's about child trafficking and stuff. And to me, that's important to fight those evils. And somebody supports that because they're Satanists or whatever. To me, they're an enemy as well. Like, they're not good people. And again, to me, it's creating problems out of something that doesn't exist. And it's done to divide people, because the information war is too fast, and that's what's happening. Like, people they're losing control on the amount of people on Earth, and they have to come up with things like this to be able to, make people stupid. Because if you keep your population dumb, what happens? You can control it, So I'm not saying that all that stuff is not true, like, for example, some people feel differently with their bodies, whatever. Okay. And I'm not opposing any of that stuff. What I'm opposing is the idea of pushing it on kids, on pushing it on everybody's throat forcibly. Right. To me, that's not right. Everybody should have the decision to make what they want,
The other thing which I want to bring up, we don't have to go there, but okay. I found it really, really disturbing that the Canadian president blocked people's bank account because
absolutely because you can go there because I don't like him. I was the first one we made some jokes about him on Facebook as well and social media. Look, when the trucker thing was a big thing, we supported it. But we also had pressure from the promoters in Canada. It's not a good look. Get out of that thing. Don't be there. And I was like, this guy's an authoritarian. He comes in there and blocks everybody's bank accounts, blocks everybody's livelihood, their mortgages, everything, just because they protested his extreme measures. I mean, come on, Canada? It's very scary. Scary.
That's a totalitarian way of dealing with things. It's not democratic.
Not at all. Not at all. And they didn't kill anybody. They didn't do any violence. They just blocked the street because they blocked his backyard, So, what happened afterwards? Democracy. Why? Because as soon as that was happening, he went into hiding and he lifted all the measures like this. So all this stuff about, the vaccines, then all the mandates lifted like this right after. So what did you do it in the first place heavy like that, So I'm again, it's all these things that you can question and see when life stops, that you can really pay attention to what the people are doing, why they're doing it, So very eye-opening. And I agree with you. I think that was a very, very bad look for Canada, a very bad look for this guy. And I hope that he steps down as president of Canada. I really don't like him.
I've never been to Canada. I've been to the US, and as you know, there are a lot of Italians living in Canada. So I always thought Canada of like a very good country, like welcoming and
like Australia,
and then you hear things like that. It's like what's going on?
Exactly. And it was a global agenda. Australia was the same. New Zealand, the same. They were tougher in those countries than any other country on earth. And you would think that Australia, which is a beacon of freedom country, a country where everybody would escape to, like that's Australia. I go to Australia, I'm good, was the worst. It's like, and that's why you start questioning. And if you question, you're censored.
No, but the thing is, if the good country is doing this, we're fucked.
Yeah. Well, I still believe in strength in numbers, because whoever's on the top, right, is going to comply only if the people on the bottom comply. But if everybody at the bottom is waking up that doesn't do what they say, they can't survive. So they will have to comply at some point. That's what I'm saying. Like, division is no good. Everybody's the same, and everybody should get along and do what's right, what's logical, and not be brainwashed by stupidity. You know what I mean? That's the thing. If I walk in the street here, everybody gets along. There is no problem. Like, there is nobody in the street screaming at another person because of his religion or race. They all get along. Hi, how are you in the street? Everything's
as
fine.
it should be.
Yes. So basically, it's like all of a sudden, oh, there's racist this and homophobic this, and it's like, I don't see any of that happening anywhere. I don't. Even in my families in Italy that live in the campagna, they're like everything's okay, normal. I don't get it. Like, so it's worldwide.
Maurizio,
we fight.
I could carry on until tomorrow. I love talking to you, and
it's man. And it's great to see like-minded people that love music, but also love a positive, good message behind it, and one of humanity starts to stand together. So it was really cool, man. I really do appreciate your time to giving me to promote my record and the message behind it.
When you guys come to England?
We are planning it, I think, in February or March. I think February next year.
Okay.
So
yeah, I'll definitely come down and we'll have a beer.
Let's have a beer, a wine, whatever you want.
Cool, man. Thank you very much for your time.
All right, brother. Appreciate you very much. In bocca al lupo.
We'll be in touch. Take care.
All right. Ciao.
Yes.
Hey, folks. Thanks for watching this podcast. If you enjoyed this interview, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell your friend, your family, and your cat. And stay awesome. Don't forget to check out our store at www.headingmusicartwork.com. Ciao for now.
Preview.